Let's get it.
Father, all my life, I have answered every call. To honor, duty, to war. But now fate has given me something I never sought.
His daughter.
A child. A life untouched by the storm. Lend me the strength of the old fathers, so that I may fight once more, defeat one more enemy, and return home to her. Not as a warrior, but as warmth. To teach her not battle, but stillness. The kind I never knew. Please, Father, heed my words.
If I guessed anything, see, my whole perspective on this stuff now that I'm seeing a couple of other, like now that I'm seeing this one, is Doom targeting kids? Like, I'm not sure if he targeting kids. It kind of seemed like kids, like, is he targeting like the main 6 kids or something like that? But yeah, because he said back home. So is she back home or is she with Doom? He mean like he finna go save her? Because one thing I do know is if Thor popping out, he popping out for a reason. So we gonna see. Put in the comments what you think though. Put in the comments what you think. And then hold on. Hold on. Yeah, these locations look a little bit weird too. Like, these don't look like regular locations we ever seen.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of the second.
All right, this is a break. I didn't even watch the breakdown to the first one, so you know we just go forget about that anyway. But yeah, this is a breakdown to the Thor one. Let's see. Let's get it.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of the second teaser for Avengers Doomsday, centered around Thor. Marvel Studios is betting that the best way to market their film, coming on December 18th, 2026, is a series of 4 teasers released only in theaters, attached to screenings of Avatar: Fire and Ash. The first teaser, which I broke down in this video, centered around Chris Evans' return as Steve Rogers in a scene set after the ending of Avengers Endgame, and we learn that Steve is a daddy now. This second teaser shows Thor as he prays to his father Odin, centered around similar fatherhood themes. As a YouTube content creator and someone who finds it pretty odd to pay 4 times to see a 3-hour and 15-minute movie, I gotta say, I don't know who this marketing campaign is for, but gosh darn it, I am committed. And I did go see Avatar: Fire and Ash again, not just to see this new teaser, but also to stick around for another round of Charlie Chaplin's granddaughter getting courage high as a kite. Another!
What?
So in this video,
That's Charlie Chaplin's granddaughter?
for another round of Charlie Chaplin's granddaughter getting courage high as a.
Which one is Charlie? I'm gonna have to watch it. I ain't watched it yet.
Okay, another! So in this video, I'm going to describe what I saw in the Thor version of the Avengers Doomsday teaser in theater.
Before I go any further, for people who don't know, Charlie Chaplin was an amazing no-talk movie actor. If you didn't know, just to put you on some game.
This week. And if you remain curious what this 5th Avengers movie would have been before they swapped out Kang for Dr. Doom, New Rockstars is hosting a live staged reading of the leaked 2023 Avengers: The Kang Dynasty screenplay. A screenplay that's probably bogus, but it will be very funny to hear me, Jessica Clemens, Gina Ippolito, Berg, and some special guests reading it aloud for you. It's gonna be Friday, January 30th at 7 p.m. at the UCB Theater in Los Angeles. Ticket link in the description, and there is a discounted live stream link for remote audiences to watch along wherever you live. Okay, this teaser shows us Thor sometime after the events of Thor: Love and Thunder in a forest. Thor's hair is short once again, as it was in Thor Ragnarok and Avengers Infinity War. You know, the good look. He's carrying Stormbreaker, not Mjolnir, the broken and reassembled version of the Warhammer that he was holding at the very end of Thor: Love and Thunder, while his adopted daughter Love carried the battle axe. Nope.
Yep. So now I'm assuming it's something from that trailer where he took her, because he's holding hers. He's not holding Mjolnir. So he must have lost the fight, and now he's asking his father, like, please give me one more fight. Yep, I see him back in that mode again.
Thor is now carrying Stormbreaker, no Mjolnir in sight. Here, Thor prays to Odin. There may be different versions of what exactly Thor prays based on what country the teaser is playing in. There are also some misquotes of the exact words going around, but in one version, Thor certainly prays this: Father, all my life I have answered the calls of honor, of duty, and battle, but fate offered me something I had never hoped for, a child, a life spared from the storm. Grant me the strength of the Allfather so that I may fight once more, defeat a new enemy, and return to her, not as a warrior, but as a protector. May she not know war, but peace, the peace that I have never known. I beg you, Father, hear my prayer. And during this prayer, we see shots of Thor sitting on the bedside of Love, the resurrected form of the daughter of Gore the God Butcher from Thor Love and Thunder, whom Gore wished back to life by reaching the gate of eternity, finding eternity's true form in the well, and making this wish, not for his own dying self, but just for Love, for the chance of the daughter who starved to death in his arms when the gods abandoned them, for that daughter to live once again, and assured by Jane Foster, for that daughter to be looked after by the God of Thunder. We see this daughter reflected in the water of the well, taking the same starry silhouetted form as eternity itself, and then she takes the flesh form of Gore's daughter. She's played by India Rose Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth's real-life daughter. So there's a very personal layer here for the actor. This girl is known as Love, a cosmic entity in Marvel Comics who is the living embodiment of the concept of love in the universe. Thor Love and Thunder ended with Thor having adopted Love as his daughter figure. Love can fire purple lasers from her eyes when she's angry. She and Thor join each other in a beach battle, Thor carrying the reassembled version of Mjolnir by Jane Foster in that film, Love carrying the Stormbreaker battle axe that Thor forged to kill Thanos in Avengers Infinity War, and Korg's narration established them as the Love and Thunder of the film's title. The bedroom Love is in here does not look like the mobile ship that they were on at the end of Thor Love and Thunder. It's a traditional wood-paneled house. One could argue it's the X-Mansion from the 10005 X-Men universe, or I would say it looks kind of drabbier than that Westchester mansion. Maybe it's a home in New Asgard in Norway, somewhere near where these woods are where Thor's walking around. And Thor is crying as he's asking Odin, known as Allfather in the Norse and Asgardian tradition, begging this Allfather to give him the strength, and the teaser ends by saying Thor will return in Avengers Doomsday. And then we see the Doomsday countdown clock that played at the end of the Steve Rogers teaser, the same green Avengers A that looks like it's on the stained glass of a church or a citadel or the innards of a clock. Now, there was another version of the audio going around online that may have been in the screening of this teaser you saw. I don't know if that audio was legit, but for what it's worth, here is what Thor said in that version. I've bled for crowns, for realms, for pride. I ask for none of them now. Father, hear your son. I am not worthy of life, but still I beg you to let the thread run longer. Not for thunder, not for war. Let me stand long enough to see Love laugh again. In all the versions of this trailer, Thor is speaking in a much more somber, reverent tone than we've been accustomed to hearing from him in every appearance since Thor Ragnarok. You know, when Taika Waititi reimagined the character to play more to Hemsworth's comedic strengths, which I will admit gave more life to the character when desperately needed it, but also somewhat drained the character of the heft a Norse god obsessed with worthiness and fatherly approval should somewhat convey. So by the time we got to Thor Love and Thunder, the humor pendulum had just swung so far in the other direction that it felt like a saccharine overcorrection. But now, Thor speaks with a gravity that we haven't heard since the Thor storyline in Avengers Infinity War, a true grave fear. We've been obsessing over Stranger Things for almost a decade. Link in the description. And if Thor is holding the Stormbreaker weapon that he let Love carry, something must have happened to Love. Thor prays, so that I may return to her. As I pointed out in last week's video, that would make 3 kids of Marvel heroes that Doom is threatening. Franklin Richards, potentially Steve and Peggy's baby, and now Love. Is Doom coming for all the kids? Or just the kids who might be the anchor beings of their respective realities? A lot of folks are still unclear what exactly love is. And yes, I do realize I just said, what is love? Yeah, both in the abstract meaning of that question and literally who and what this character is. She's derived from eternity in the MCU lore, but in the Marvel Comics, eternity is the living embodiment of the universe itself. Eternity's silhouette represents the borders of reality that all of existence is contained within. Eternity is a sibling to infinity and ranks pretty high in the Marvel cosmic hierarchy, just below the living tribunal, which is the ultimate cosmic judge of the multiverse.
So she considerably is one of the highest powerful individuals in Marvel, like alone, just like her just being an entity alone. So if he is searching people out, he's searching them out for a reason. Like he want Franklin Richards because he's the best X-Man. He the Omega X-Man. He probably won't Cap's son. It's gonna be something with Cap's son. We don't know. Probably the super soldier or something like that. Then I feel like the X-Men trailer got to do. I feel like that's the reason they had Scott in the X-Men trailer and nobody else, because Scott has a kid. So, and he ended up taking Scott kid too. So, we'll see though. It's very fascinating right now.
In Thor Love and Thunder, Eternity's well chamber is reached from an inner chamber called the Gates of Eternity, where Eternity is represented in a half-masked silhouette alongside other statues of the Watcher, Death, the Living Tribunal, Eon, Infinity, and the celestial version of the One Above All. Since then, Death has been established as a character in the MCU, played by Aubrey Plaza in Agatha All Along. There's also a Mistress Love, or just Love, in the cosmic hierarchy of the pages of Marvel Comics, and that's what this little girl essentially is. But Thor Love and Thunder adds some lore for Eternity, that this entity is hidden at the center of the universe, and the first person who reaches Eternity could be granted their deepest wish, making Eternity kind of a wishing well. It was never explained why Taika Waititi or Marvel Studios added that idea of Eternity offering a kind of wish, or what really happened to Eternity after Love appeared. I mean, Taika just kind of craned the camera up on Gore's wish and the blue sky filled the frame, and then we realized that we're seeing the sky reflected in the water where Love's starry reflection first appeared, and there was no Eternity in that shot anymore. What happened to Eternity at that point? Well, in this video that I made a few years ago, I speculated that that could mean the borders of Eternity itself are eroding, which would be connected to the incursions that are now happening, and less useful stuff like Love it's taking its place. Just kidding about the useless part. I mean, Love might be more important than all these things, especially if all of Eternity's life force went directly into Love. If that were the case, wouldn't that make this girl a candidate for being the anchor being of the 616 universe? And her death would trigger the expiration of that universe? I mean, hey, if Chris Hemsworth's daughter ends up being the answer to the big mystery of who the anchor being of the universe 616 is, a question we've all been asking since Deadpool and Wolverine, you're likely to hear some grumbling. So it could just be that Doom is after some anomalistic, cosmically powerful kids. Thor was the first name officially announced for Avengers Doomsday after Robert Downey Jr., both on the cast list of the set shares announcement on March 26, 2025, and technically all the way back in Deadpool and Wolverine, when one of the screens in the TVA showed Thor crying while holding a dying Deadpool.
And what is that? Is that me? Is that Thor? Is he crying?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. That happens in the distant future.
Why is Thor crying? Quick,
Do not
tell me.
speak to her.
Since Tom Hiddleston was also confirmed to return in Avengers Doomsday, we're all hoping this is a film that makes good on Loki's promise to Thor back in Avengers Infinity War.
I assure you, brother, the sun will shine on us again.
And it could happen, because Chris Hemsworth's stunt performer shared an Instagram story goofing around on the Doomsday set in a location where the floor had the TVA logo. So just from that, we can assume that one of Thor's scenes will be a battle in the TVA. Why a battle? Well, why would his stunt guy need to be there? Reportedly, next week's teaser, expected to center around Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom, has a runtime of 1 minute and 9 seconds and was marked with a fear label in certain territories, meaning the footage has some scary imagery that could be upsetting to children. I'm guessing we're gonna see Victor's scarred or deformed face in it. Also, starting in January, New Rockstars will embark upon a new Marvel rewatch podcast called The Road to Doomsday. Every week in 2026, starting on January 10th, we're gonna have a new episode where we revisit a Marvel film or a trilogy of films or a full series of TV to assemble the ultimate Marvel rewatch podcast to discuss why these films and TV shows were so important to the Marvel cinematic legacy and what characters or details could come back in Avengers Doomsday. First couple episodes of January will center around the Blade trilogy, the X-Men trilogy, and the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. We'll see you on the road. And we're gonna do further breakdowns of each new Doomsday teaser that comes out. Comment down below with your thoughts, and a special thanks to one of our YouTube members, Frederick Price, for supporting us at the executive producer level.
So
A big thanks to Studio Tech Brian Kim, New Rockstars editors Joshua Stephen Hurd and Abby Friel, and supporting editors Eric Gorday and Brittany Joyner for their work on this video. Follow me at EA Boss and subscribe to all the channels.
I let the X-Men trailer. Let's get it.
Death comes for us all.
Damn. Is this the
That's
school
all I know
fucked
for
up?
sure. The question isn't, are you prepared to die? The question is, who will you be when you close your eyes?
Shit. Magneto. Oh, that was. It what? Oh my God, they got both of them back. They got both of these fucking goats back. They got both of these fucking goats back. Bruh. I'm scared because I feel like if they're bringing them back, they're bringing them back for an ending. What the f? It's a Sentinel. It's a Sentinel behind him. It look like it's a couple. It looked like he getting ran down on by like a group of Sentinels. Did Scott see the world's destruction? Cause remember, and I don't know if it's X-Men Days of Future Past, I think it is that one where they show that like it's like they in a few like the future, but like that's where the Sentinels. I don't know. This gonna be real interesting to even see how they directly add on the X-Men to just one movie. Remember, they ain't get them though. They gave them some little sneak peeks and all that here and there. Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, Deadpool, Wolverine. They gave us some sneak peeks, but they ain't give us directly no like direct X-Men shit yet. And they shoot Blade and all other type of people, but we ain't gonna talk about them right now. But man, this is an amazing scene right here. I feel like it's gonna be a big ass scene right here. This is gonna be real important. Like this is gonna be in the next like real big. This is gonna be a part of one of the big trailers. I feel like, because I think this is an important rocking scene, and I really think it's just Scott going crazy through this universe, but it's gonna be the gateway to them getting to another one. If y'all know what I mean. So amazing. X-Men breakdown. Let's get it.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of the third teaser for Avengers Doomsday that's now playing in front of screenings of Avatar Fire and Ash this week, and I'm going to describe what is in it. It is definitely the biggest Doomsday trailer yet, as it shows us the X-Men in their most peak final form. Seriously, if you had any doubts about Doomsday delivering, I think what we see here shuts up the haters. It looks like Marvel Studios is uploading official versions of these online a week after the fact, and when all 4 of these teasers are online, I will do another video breaking down all 4 of them together for the new details and connections that we can discover and what narrative Marvel might be trying to suggest with all 4 of these teasers. But in this video, I'm going to describe what happens in this epic X-Men teaser for Doomsday. And if I sound weird or less animated than normal, it is because I am not in our normal studio. Yeah, we tricked you with that blue screen intro. I'm actually recording this audio while visiting family during the holidays, and I don't want to wake up the whole damn house by shouting. Now, before I get into this Doomsday X-Men footage description, if you remain curious what this 5th Avengers movie was going to be before they swapped out Kang for Doctor Doom, New Rockstars is hosting a live staged reading of the leaked 2023 Avengers: The Kang Dynasty screenplay. That's probably so bogus, but it's going to be really funny to hear me and Jessica Clemens, Gina Ippolito, and Berg, and other special guests theater and watch the X-Mansion. Live. Okay, this third Avengers Doomsday teaser opens in the halls of the X-Mansion, the ground floor of Charles Xavier's Westchester estate, just as it looked in the Fox-era X-Men films, with the angle of sunlight streaming through the windows similarly to the way it did in the final minutes of 2014's X-Men Days of Future Past, in that revised timeline set in the year 2024, which technically was the last time we saw the versions of the characters of Ian McKellen's Magneto, James Marsden's Cyclops, and Patrick Stewart's Charles Xavier all alive together. Now, of course, other versions of Professor X have since appeared from other universes like the 838 universe in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, but this is universe 10005. It's the Fox X-Men universe, last seen in 2024's Deadpool and Wolverine, even if none of those specific X-Men characters showed up in that movie. But this orange light coming through the mansion windows may also be fire. Over the shots of this mansion, we hear the voice of Professor X. Death comes for us all. That's all I know for sure. Now, at this point, we see that the inside staircase of the mansion is in a state of disarray, dust covering everything. The mansion has clearly been attacked from the outside. Specifically, we see a different color of lights, a cold bluish searchlight moving through the windows, probably cast by the Sentinels currently attacking the compound. Then outside, cast carelessly upon a brick surface, is the metallic gate placard of the mansion, Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters, 1407 Graymalkin Lane, Salem Center, Westchester County, New York. This would be a recurring sight on the gates of Charles's estate in nearly every
One thing I will say is, why the fuck is they still living in New York being in the Marvel Universe? Like, why do people still live there? It has never been good. I'm not saying anywhere else is good, but let's be honest. Like, it's a little bit safer in other places than fucking New York. Like, for some reason, it just go down there.
X-Men film since 2000, even when Deadpool visited the mansion in 2016's Deadpool. With a sign on the ground, those gates must have been toppled. We hear an X-Men variation of Alan Silvestri's Avengers Doomsday theme, as we now hear the voice of Ian McKellen as Magneto, Eric Lenscher, responding to his old friend. The question isn't, are you prepared to die? The question is, who would you be when you close your eyes? It's a fascinating exchange that hints at these two men's perspectives on the afterlife and how these heroes, even if they die, could still come back in the multiversal battle world in Avengers Secret Wars. Like, Marvel keeps doing this kind of thing. You think a character's gonna die, but then when they open their eyes, they're in some kind of weird afterlife. No resurrections this time, only applied to Thanos' era in the Infinity Saga. Remember the ending of Loki Season 1, Episode 4? We all thought Loki got erased and killed by the TVA, but then, after the credits, boom! His eyes were now open in the void, the setting that we're all pretty sure Doctor Doom is gonna transform into his Battle World continent. Deadpool and Wolverine expanded this with Wolverine and Deadpool, Chris Evans as Johnny Storm, and lots of dead or forgotten Marvel characters. And of course, Magneto saying the phrase, "Close your eyes," sets up Cyclops' opening his eyes to close out this teaser. But before we get to that, we see the iconic X spokes of Charles Xavier's wheelchair rolling forward as a chess piece levitates on a chessboard. Charles and Eric are back having one of their iconic chess matches, the way we saw at the end of the 2000 X-Men film and several films to follow. Most of these chess matches were played with plastic and glass pieces because, you know, they were in Magneto's plastic prison. But the final shot of 2006's X-Men The Last Stand showed Magneto, who had supposedly lost his mutant powers earlier in the film, now proving they were starting to return as he moved a metallic chess piece in a park. I mean, I could write a thesis paper just on this chessboard. It looks like there are metallic pieces and black pieces that might also be made out of metal. It's the black one that levitates here. Again, we don't know if both sets are made of metal because while Charles could move any of the chess pieces with his telekinetic powers on this board, Eric would only be able to move the metal ones. And if you think about it, if these two men are playing this full board with just their mutant mental powers, you would need to both be able to move your pieces and any opponent's piece that you take. I'm really adding all this extra work to point out that the piece that is being lifted here isn't just any chess piece, it is the queen. It's the tallest piece on the board, taller even than the king that's beside it. And if I'm correct that Charles would have the lighter pieces and Eric would have the darker pieces, it would be Magneto lifting his queen. And who would Magneto's queen be in this X-Men universe if not our queen?
I was thinking the same thing, Scarlet Witch. And that's why he kind of sitting there looking bad. Because it's like he feeling like he failed her. Kind of. That's what I was thinking, at least looking at the trailer and all of that. But I will say this one thing. If y'all don't think Scarlet Witch ain't gonna be an important piece in this movie, you stupid as hell. She probably gonna be who Doom uses to even attack people. That's probably why he's sitting there sad. Like, damn, yeah, they done got wine that'll smoke everybody. Like,
Queen, a variant of the Scarlet Witch. I know Elizabeth Olsen keeps claiming that Wanda Maximoff is not returning for Avengers Doomsday, but you know what? Chris Evans made similar denials that were equally untrustworthy. And we are expecting Vision Quest to be hitting Disney Plus in fall 2026 in the months before Doomsday, with rumors of Wanda's return in the finale of this WandaVision trilogy. And couldn't you imagine a Vision Quest post-credit scene that shows Wanda's face, followed by text on screen reading, "The Scarlet Witch will return in Avengers Doomsday"? But whatever transpired between Charles and Eric in past wars, now the two old men are clasping each other's hands and smiling in a sense of shared defeat. Charles wears a dark blue jacket with a patch showing an X on a red field, meaning this era of the X-Men has upgraded their branding. Magneto's hair looks grown out and messy, and Charles's jacket looks pretty dusty. Yeah, these guys are toasting with one final game of chess after losing whatever this battle is. But one of the mutants in this scene ain't done fighting. We've been obsessing over Stranger Things for almost a decade now. That's 10 years of notes on 80s references. With all of our dive deep in, just yanks off his ruby quartz eyepiece, drops to his knees, and screams as he unleashes one hell of an optic blast. Our man has given up trying to be precise with his blast and is now just flooding the sky with that kinetic red plasma. Cyclops is wearing a new X-Men suit, dark blue, with a yellow utility strap in the Y configuration connecting to his utility belt. It's the classic Cyclops look that we saw in the animated X-Men 97 in the 90s animated series and most of the comics. The kind of costume that was mocked in the line in Bryan Singer's 2000 X-Men, a line actually written by Joss Whedon.
You actually go outside in these things? What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
Deadpool and Wolverine, of course, restored Wolverine's iconic suit, so naturally Avengers Doomsday is going to do it with the other X-Men. Now you'll notice stomping behind Scott Summers in this epic shot are the giant boots of a Sentinel. That's what Cyclops is hopelessly fighting here. That's what's closing in on Charles and Eric inside, and potentially other X-Men who might have died or are close to dying. You know, Beast from the Marvel's post-credit scene is fighting this fight on another front. Sentinels are, of course, the giant robotic mutant hunters from throughout X-Men lore, invented by Bolivar Trask. Various upgrades to the Sentinels have but fortified them to be resistant to the X-Men's mutant powers. Even in some cases, Scott's optic blast isn't enough to take down a whole group of them. Sentinels are famously bulky with the red and purple plating, but there was an alternate design of them in 2014's X-Men Days of Future Past, where they were sleeker models built using Mystique's shape-shifting powers and Rogue's energy absorption powers. But when we're really talking Sentinels, we're talking about the kind of design we saw not too long ago in the trailer for Insomniac's Wolverine game coming in September 2026. And we're not going to show them in this video, but earlier in 2025, there were aerial photographs of the X-Mansion estate, the set where they shot this movie, with what looked like giant bodies of damaged Sentinels under tarps. I suppose those are some that Cyclops might have taken down, that the actor James Marsden stood in front of for certain shots. And the trailer ends with the text, "The X-Men will return in Avengers Doomsday," followed by the recurring Doomsday clock countdown. So, confirmed, there will be a battle at the X-Mansion, and the X-Men that we know and love, now wearing the costumes that we wish they always wore, are in a very dire.
Okay, so how did they get here? For the people who didn't watch the Marvels, I'm not going to talk about the movie, but I'll talk about how it, like, sort of how it ended. So, if y'all know Monica Rambeau, she ended up getting basically, like, stuck in the X-Men universe. So, I think that was the tie-in right there, and that's kind of what already started merging and it started collapsing their worlds together anyway. And I'm just talking about them two. Steve, I think he already did that. I think when Steve already did the little Infinity Stones replace, he been messed up you digs. It just took Loki to do what all he did, but time linear, so he could have literally messed that up right now, just in the future or past. But I think the X-Men is going through the same problem. I think that's why we seen them in the Fantastic Four, because it's like a safe ship, because now Cyclops end up making it out. That's what I think. I think in Doomsday, I'm not gonna say we not gonna see Robert Downey Jr. Like, I'm not gonna say we not gonna see Doom fighting, but it's like, I don't think the main fight is gonna be Doom. I think Doomsday is gonna be us watching all of them at their own dooms, like at their own doom, like, and Doom is gonna be at the end of that. Like, he gonna be at the end, like, waiting on their ass. But everybody is gonna face their own doom personally, and it's gonna come from all ways, because you got villains and all this type of heroes and all that ain't gonna agree with that, like, so. But it's gonna be fire. It's gonna be fire.
Situation. Now, there have been rumors that these Sentinels might have been hacked by Dr. Doom's magic, perhaps even using the runes that we saw around the perimeter of the Doomsday clock in the poster that we see in the final seconds of all these teasers. I am going to do another video explaining what I think those runes really are, but Dr. Doom is someone well-versed in magic as well as advanced technology, so it's very possible that these Sentinels were magicked by Dr. Doom, and he's the one sending these Sentinels after the X-Mansion, and that's why Cyclops is having so much trouble with them, because in addition to the upgrades these robots possess to handle the specific power sets of the X-Men, they also have unrelenting Dr. Doom magic powering them that Cyclops, Magneto, and Charles are just hopeless against. I don't expect Famke Janssen's Jean Grey to be there to help. The actress has sounded pretty convincing when denying being in the film, but also the main thinking is that Sadie Sink's character in Spider-Man Brand New Day coming this summer before Doomsday is going to be the new version of the mutant Jean Grey, who will be part of the mutant recast in the 616 universe, starting in Secret Wars and the mutant saga that follows. But perhaps now, by levitating the Queen chess piece, activating it on the board, it's just a clue of how these old men are trying to command the battle outside in their endgame, which refers to the final phase of a chess match. Basically, we're seeing X-Men Endgame right here, and instead of Steve Rogers being the forever loyal knight standing alone, in this universe it's Cyclops, the knight about to go down in a sacrifice play. So what do you do in this dire situation? You move the Queen. And maybe the only way these X-Men can repel Doom's magic is by fighting that magic with magic of their own, the magic of Magneto's daughter, Wanda Maximoff. Hey, starting Saturday, January 10th, New Rockstars will embark upon a new Marvel Rewatch podcast series called The Road to Doomsday. Every week in 2026, we're gonna have a new episode where we revisit a Marvel film or...
All right. Now that's fire. That's fire. I can't wait for it to drop. That's gonna be a W movie. That might be the best movie of the year. Like, that might be like equal to GTA, just the movie size, because it kind of is in talk wise. Like, it's the most anticipated movie.